I usually try to dress in the school colors of any university I get to go visit, and I realize that I do not have any gold and I don't have any green. So you're getting my thought process of, I'm channeling Johnny Cash today because his birthday was, what, a couple days ago? So my apologies on not having the school colors. What I want to talk about today is a little bit about what the Wright State Alumni Association has been doing over the past year and how it's helping you, and then talking about how you can use social media to do whatever it is that you're trying to do, and we'll go through some of that a little bit today. So I'm going to go through a couple of slides. I'm going to breeze past this. I really would like this to be a question and answer period, so you get an idea of what exactly you want to talk about, and I can filter from there. I did come today so I could listen to all the conversations. I think what we can do is bring in all of the different speakers' thought processes from volunteer recruitment that I know you guys had lots of questions about, as well as the millennial discussion. It's not an either or, it's kind of a culmination of everything. And when we're looking at actual social strategy, that's a really important piece to remember. There's a lot that goes into it, and it is very strategic. So that's really what we're going to get into the heart of it. What is it that we can do to get you more members, to get you more volunteers so you're not burnt out after 4 years, and all of the different things that are going on. So I want to give you a little bit of an update about us. Our parent company is My Supermarketer. I run the division called Activate Alumni. It's still My Supermarketer. We work with universities all over the country. We just did a big promo with the University of Oregon for their Rose Bowl. I know we're in Ohio. We did not do the national championship. They just couldn't, their poor staff could not do yet another social campaign right after the Rose Bowl. But that's kind of the caliber of things that we're doing. We're playing off of major events with universities to really build engagement, which is the buzzword of 2015 or whatever, however many years we've been using it. But really pull in your alumni into whatever environment you're trying to pull them into, and then getting them to do that call to action that you're trying to do. So we are doing that. My Supermarketer is a Detroit-based digital marketing firm. We do a lot of work with the Detroit Pistons. If you'll remember the viral video of the usher that was around when he was dancing, that was our campaign with the Detroit Pistons. So if that gives you an idea of some of the things that we also do. I am actually not based in Michigan. I live in Champaign, Illinois, and I'm going to try to beat the snow on the way home today, so I'm heading west straight into it. So I work virtually, but I talk to Holly and Nick all the time, and they get to hear my dogs bark quite often, so I walk out of my home. I also, just to give you an idea of my background, I was the Vice President of Membership and Marketing for the University of Illinois Alumni Association for 7 years. I worked with our chapters and our groups for 7 years trying to build membership and to really build out their network of folks. So I actually understand what you are trying to do, and I've worked with alumni volunteers in the capacity that you guys are. So ask specific questions regarding exactly what you're looking for, because I've got that background and then can pull in the social media side. I did come to My Supermarketer in May. I actually worked with them. I had hired them to run some of the campaigns at the University of Illinois. I believe 100% that this is where advancement efforts for universities are going to go in fundraising. The face of fundraising higher education is changing, and the face of engagement for higher education is changing. So this was my way to really work with universities all over the country instead of just the one that I was working at. So I have real quick up here, and this is something just for you all to remember. This is our methodology, and it's an easy one to remember for everybody. I'm trying to get to the best place where everyone can see it. So our goal is always to walk our alumni through each of these different categories. So first of all, how are we going to attract our alumni to our page, and how do we start building a relationship? The next piece is how are we engaging them and what are we asking them? So we're always collecting information from our folks when we are using social networking and our social environment while we're engaging them. So we're pulling email addresses, we're doing all kinds of different things. The Wright State Alumni Association, I'll get to the actual numbers in just a second, have done an incredible job of building out their contactable alumni through their email address as well as sort of their strategic look. And so that's kind of the next thing. And then what is it? Is it membership? Is it donations? Is it attending an event? What is the call to action that we're doing? So there's always a way that we're looking to do it. Where do we find them? How do we get them engaged? And then what do we want them to do? And you have to go through that process. So that's something to just keep in the back of your mind as we're going through this. Who has phones here? I'm just curious, right? You guys can all get them out. We like to Facebook and tweet and email, whatever you need to do. This is the way the world is. So do not feel like you have to look at it on your lap. You can do whatever you want with your phone while I'm talking. Who checks email on their phone, right? Who has a Facebook account on their phone? Does anybody here have Twitter? Yeah? No, yes. Instagram. Instagram is probably more popular right now than Twitter, and we're seeing some changes in the Twitter environment. So the biggest thing to remember is these are 2013 numbers. When we are sending out our communications from our office, we are seeing that half, actually it's skewed up to almost 60% now of the people that you're talking to are looking at the information on their phone. So it really is small bits of information that you should be sending out to your mass, through your mass communication to the people in your groups and in your environments. So that's just kind of a quick background on that. So last year we worked for 12 months and we're continuing our relationship with the Alumni Association. When we first started working with them, they were at 2,148 likes on their Facebook page. We are now up to 8,435. We've been able to collect those email addresses. We've been able to connect that many more people and communicate with them on an ongoing basis throughout this past 12 months. Who likes the Alumni Association page in this room? Most everybody. How did you hear about it? What made you like it? Good question, right? It's not without the work that they've put into it. So that's kind of one of the things. You're getting the great information. You just don't know exactly how it is, and there's a lot that goes on behind it, but you're getting lots of good information from them all the time. And that's kind of the key here, and that's what your network and your society can actually get. They don't know why they like your page, but you're in constant communication and getting your messages across. So this particular, I don't know if anybody saw this. This is the homecoming piece where you can look at what your name is, and it was kind of a fun thing. We helped develop this. This was kind of a fun way that we engaged. We worked on 4 various different campaigns last year, and this is one of them that we did. Okay, so this is kind of an example of one of our favorite posts. And we use this as the benchmark for all of our universities. Even like the University of Illinois with 450,000 alumni, this surpasses everything we've ever done. It is, it's really hard to read. I'll read it just because it'll give you an idea of what kind of posting works. A favorite pastime of Wright State students is finding new ways to utilize the moat around Allen Hall. In this Throwback Thursday pick, 3 Raiders ride in a canoe. And then we had all of this discussion. We had over 1,000 or 1,100 likes on it. People were sharing it. This was a post that was pulling people into the social environment, getting them to share with their networks, which is probably somebody shared it in your own network and you saw, oh, I didn't realize that they had a Facebook page, I'll like it. That's the kind of work that we're doing to create more people to be in communication with the Alumni Association. So that's one of them. Anybody post on this or like this one? All right. Okay, so now that's kind of what we've been doing and sort of the overall. So the Wright State Alumni Association has been doing a ton of work. They've been collecting email addresses so that when you get your email list, there's more people populated in them. They have spent a lot of time and strategy on really building this out So now they want to bring the success that they've got as they're continuing their engagement to bring it to you and to really get more into what's going on in your own networks. Okay, so the new way to engage, I'm going to say new because everybody's using Facebook. Everybody's using social networking. But we don't think of it really in terms of a marketing tool yet. It's still not seen as that. We've seen a few, you know, the Oscars picture last year that Samsung was the big thing and they're promoting their phone because they're taking a picture with it. There is some instances of that, but brands are finally starting to get into how does social media work for me and how do I attract more people to what I'm trying to do. So if I'm looking at this, probably new members. Anybody else have anything that they're looking to connect people to? Events, awards, event promotion, volunteer recruitment, right? All of these things, scholarships. Anything else? Just so I can hit on any of them. What are you asking your alumni to do with you besides events? Donate. To you or to the university? University. So we can use that as well, and we'll go through ways that you can post through that. Okay, so this is what we're really trying to do. We're trying to find out exactly what we're asking of our groups and our alumni in our areas. So I'm going to actually skip this one and go to, excuse me for a second. I'm going to ask you to go to, what do you think your first goal would be if you were using social media? Anybody want to raise their hand and be the first one to talk?
Click through to a
website?
Drive traffic to a website.
And what are you going to do on that website? What are you asking them to do?
Oh, I mean, in terms of the Wright State Alumni?
Or your network?
Read things, look at advertising, contact me for information.
Contact you for information. Okay. Anything else?
Maybe this should be addressed by you and the board. Maybe who does this go out to? What is an alumni? Alumni definition. I'm saying from the Lake Campus perspective. I don't know who all in the Lake Campus area is receiving emails, because we were a feeder for years for Wright State University, where people maybe took a quarter down there or 2 quarters, and they transferred me. Are they being picked up?
If we have their email.
So maybe we, at our network, we have to reach out to these people who went there in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Okay, so good. You're trying to attract all the alumni in your area.
We will now.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what, when we're thinking of, and I know that Holly and Nick have been working hard on getting your about pages up and the cover photos and all of that. So now that you've got this presence, what do you do? And that's kind of what we want to start thinking about, and what we would like for you all to start thinking about what you're doing. I'm just going to use attracting new members to your group. Would that work okay? And then we'll get to event promotion. So if I'm looking to attract new members to my group and I want to get, we were just talking, I was talking with the Columbus folks, 3,000 people just in Columbus alone. Is that the right numbers?
Yeah,
in Franklin County. Counties are a strange thing. In Illinois, we do not use counties. It's strange, I know. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to attract all 3,000 of those people. Well, you can really hone in on what people have said in their profiles. How many of you say that you are a Wright State graduate in your profile on your Facebook page? That is the biggest indicator. You've got a lot of people that have said that. It's a point of pride. And so what you're doing is you're attracting those groups together based on that similarity, and you can find them quite easily. We'll go through, in your packets, each of you got this guide. This guide will give you a lot of great tips and tricks. We put this together so that you can kind of begin to start. The other thing is, how many of you say where you currently live on your Facebook profile? Again, that's the other indicator. So right now, we were able to probably say you're a Wright State graduate and you live in Franklin County, Ohio. that's all you really need to know, and everybody has that. So you get to use where people are already sitting and take that to the extreme, and then really pull them into your environment through various different ways and methods, and we're going to get to that in a second also. So I'm going to back up a little bit and talk a little bit about Facebook. The statistic that we know is that, excuse me for a second, I'm going to go back up to this and read what the actual number is, because I don't want to say it wrong. People are spending an average of 500 minutes per month on Facebook. This is where we're all spending our time, and it's relationships. So instead of trying to create something where they're not already, and trying to drive them somewhere else, we get to use a place where they're already spending 500 minutes of their month, and using that to our advantage. So that's kind of the reason why we're using Facebook the most. Facebook also allows you to really capture people, where Twitter is not as drilled down, where Instagram, you can't even live link within an Instagram post. So there's good pieces and bad pieces to a couple of things. Facebook is sort of the mother lode. And we try to drive almost all of our social marketing into the Facebook environment, because we can pull information out of it and get to know a little bit more about demographics. I'm getting a little bit all over the place, but I promise that there is a method to my madness. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the basics. We know what we're trying to accomplish in the new members. So the first thing is, it has to be strategic. You have to think about, what is it I want to do? How do I want to attract members? What is it that they're going to be coming to me for? And then how am I going to play that out in a social environment? How does that intersect with a direct mail piece? How does that intersect with an email? And how do they all integrate together? It's common for people to think, oh, social media is an all or nothing thing, and it's not. It really is. We want you to integrate it with all of your different pieces and really talk to the span of people. Attention spans are all over the place, so this is just yet another way for us to communicate, but it's where we know people are spending more of their time than other places. I spend more of my time on Facebook than I do going through my mailbox. It's just kind of the way that it is. So we're hitting them where we want to. When you have events and when you are looking to recruit new members and you've talked to them, what is the biggest thing we talk about? Where's the follow-up? What do I do for follow-up? I don't know how to keep them engaged. This is the easiest way to do it. If they do nothing else the first time that you talk to them but come to your Facebook page, you now have constant communication with them, so that when you ask them to do something, they feel like they have a relationship with you. That's probably the single biggest piece of this. Asking them to like your social environment and be part of your social environment is an interaction, and it is a relationship. And I'm curious to see, does anyone here have a social friend that you maybe haven't even met in person before? These are real relationships. And it's hard to think about that. You think of, I only talk to people that I know, but as you're on it and you're talking to more people, or maybe you've met them once at a conference, or you haven't seen them in 20 years, but you have a really strong relationship, that's because of the social environment. It's a social relationship. You're doing the same thing. So you're able to communicate with them, interact, talk. The interactive piece is a big one, and it's in your guide. Being able to say, what was your favorite memory, and then let people go. That's a great way to start just building out sort of what your environment is. So let me ask, if you've got 100 people on your social environment now, and then a year from now you've got 1,000 people on your social environment, what do you, I just want to say, what do you think the outcomes would be for what you're trying to do right now? Does anybody have any thoughts on 100, I kind of talked to the same people, and now I've got 1,000. We're thinking probably more event attendance, probably more donations and scholarships, all of that. So that's really what we're looking to do, is increase your outreach without having you have to spend so much time and energy on events and that you're going to do anyways, but not doubling that. not looking for I think you asked the question about we need more funding. Different scenario, but if there's not more funding to do, this is a really inexpensive way to do a lot of really great outreach and get an even bigger impact than trying to drive people to an event. Or it's bad weather, or not the Tampa yacht thing. That's going to pull everybody. But it's bad weather. Was it Columbus no, New York. Did she leave? Yeah, yes. You said that it was bad weather. Well, just then you get to say, okay, this is what we did. These are the people that were here, and they can still be part of the actual action of the event, even if they weren't able to make it because of whatever reason, like weather. So you can bring your events to people that aren't there. You can interact with people that you actually can't sit and have face-to-face conversations with all the time. And you can look at interacting with people without having to do the really busy work of the events and so on and so forth. So let's go through some of the basics. Having a strategy is a big one. If I'm looking to increase my members or my social environment by 1,000 in a year, that's a big goal, but we'll just use that as an example. What are you going to do? Why are people going to come and follow you? First of all, you've got to think about what it is you want to say to them. And you've got to be interactive with them all the time. In here, you've got recommendations on the frequency and timing. We suggest 4 to 6 posts a week that you can schedule in advance. That's the really great part. So you can sit down one day, 1 week, schedule out a whole month of posts. As long as you're checking it and interacting with people. So you can schedule them, and then just kind of, if people have questions, go back and forth. 4 to 6 times a week, never on the weekends. I'm here today. I want to put this on the Activate Alumni Facebook page, but I won't do it until Monday and say, we spent the weekend in Ohio, because people just are not interacting with brands basically on the weekends. It's too busy. People are all over the place. The gentleman that talked about I have 5 basketball tournaments, that's what their weekends are. Okay, so the next thing, so we've got the strategy. We're looking at building 1,000 members. We know that we're going to be posting all the time, and then we want to be interactive all at the same time. Those are probably the first steps in understanding the best ways to get started. Just throwing up a post when you think about it, spend a little bit of time thinking about what it is you want to do. Otherwise, it's just social posting, and there is a difference between social marketing and social posting, and we want you to be social marketers for your group and society. Okay, I'm almost to the question and answer part. What's next? So the Wright State Alumni Association is going to be doing a lot more to pull in more engagement. They're going to be looking at specific individuals that are really interactive with them, and they're doing a lot of great things, and they will be doing that in preparation for helping you. All of this feeds into how this helps you all at the same time. We already went through what is your first goal. So we've talked a little bit about membership. Maybe it's to an event. Let's talk about event promotion. So if you're looking at event promotion, but you only have 100 people in your environment, you've got kind of a dual thing. But you can, as Nick talked about earlier, get sort of this overall, use an event to build up your social environment as well as promote your event and get more people there. So it's kind of a twofold. I suggest before you even start worrying about all kinds of different things that your main goal is how do we get more people to our environment so I can communicate with more of them. If you use an event to get them there. As soon as your network starts to increase, the event management will be a lot easier. You'll be able to work with the people in your network already. And as you already know, it's $20. Pretty easy to do in the spend. So that would be our suggestion for your first goal. We wanted you to walk away with actually something to do when you left and not go, oh, well, I had like 15 things. So start with building out that social environment and see what an increase in your percentage will look like. Yeah?
What do you estimate the cost is to attract 1,000?
It's tough to say. I wish I could give you an actual cost. We would probably suggest spending, if you spent $20 a month on just boosting your posts, We can go through that a little bit, and we'll continue to work with you as you go through that. But give a little bit of budget. You'll start to increase that because you want that to function in the Facebook feed. I'm going to get a little technical and tell you a little bit how it works. When I put a little bit of ad budget behind a post, what happens is I can say I want to specifically target Wright State alumni in Franklin County, and it goes to those people, and your post appears in their news feed. It will say sponsored. That's the only thing that's different. So all of your communications will then go in there. It's dicey in terms of how much you want to spend on a particular post.
Okay, just from an average within the industry, what is a good cost per like metric?
I don't have that information, but I will find out. No, that's way too much.
Okay.
Well, I'm thinking more like 24 cents.
24 cents?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's typically what we're looking at.
So, if you want to spend $240, then you get there.
Yeah, exactly. So don't, and experiment a little bit until you get your voice too. That's the other thing. I don't want you to put a lot of ad budget into something until you feel comfortable in what you're putting out there at the same time. So as you're experimenting with what your voice is, when you're putting out all of your information, it's going to grow, and it's going to take some time to kind of get in the groove of what your voice kind of is and what your alumni are responding to. Pay attention to, okay, if my athletic posts are getting a ton and my, I don't know, what's another one that my event ones aren't getting that much. So I don't need to promote my athletic posts. They're getting tons of likes without me having